Hello everybody, my name is Jason Fitzpatrick, and today I will be going through my interview presentation for effective professional communication. So, a little bit of background of the person that I had interviewed. This is about Courtney Boucher. She is a K through 5 elementary music teacher who primarily teaches 3rd through 5th grade. I also work in the same building as her right now. She has 14 years of teaching experience. Over the past at least 3 years, probably more, she has been a cooperating teacher / mentor for student teachers, and she has experience with chorus / all district chorus. The all district chorus in the school district is a choir that the music teachers at the other elementary schools, and including hers, they select students to be put into this all district chorus, and she has taught the music and conducted the music for the concert as well. Now, a little bit about why I chose Miss Boucher was she has kind of taken me under her wing in the beginning of the school year. She is also very close with the cooperating teacher that I had student taught with, because I did student teach in the same school district, just not with her. And over the past 14 years, she's had a lot of practice with communication, whether that is with colleagues or the community or admin, which I'll get further into in this presentation. So some questions that I had asked her were, what kind of professional communications are required in the teaching field? What do you think makes for effective communication among teachers? What role does body language or tone of voice play in your teaching? How do you handle disagreements or differences of opinion with colleagues? And what role does communication play in creating a positive school environment? So for the first question, what kinds of professional communication are required in the teaching field? She listed off a couple of great points of active listening, so making sure that everyone feels heard. Same thing with showing empathy and kindness. Understanding the context of a situation to implement the correct method of communication. So if something had happened in the school day, maybe with a student, either to contact home with a verbal communication where you can call home, or a lot of the cases in our school district, a lot of the families might not speak English. So we use Parent Square, which is a messaging app that it auto-translates to the parents in the preferred language that they use. But the last bullet point is be clear and concise with what you are trying to communicate to minimize as little miscommunication as possible, especially over text. She was saying that, it's hard to understand tone of voice over text sometimes. So it's just really important to thoroughly detail what you are trying to convey. For the second question, what do you think makes for effective communication among teachers? So this one was directed more so about when we are talking with each other. So collaboration with everyone involved, especially as an elementary music teacher, we work with the general education teachers or special ed teachers, or we help create events. Build a community of respect, consistent communication. She was saying that when there's a constant flow of communication between all parties, that it brings a stronger bond with the teachers, and it makes the teachers into more positive outlook of how they view each other, and create a common goal that you and others are working towards. This is especially helpful with the fact that with elementary students, we have a lot of students, maybe they are trying to reach certain goals, and in one class it might not be as attainable, or it's a little bit harder for them, but they excel in maybe, say, the music class. So, trying to reinforce these goals throughout all of their classes will help them become better students, which makes us better teachers when we're collaborating with that. What role does body language or tone of voice play in your teaching? What you present is what you'll receive back. So she had brought up that she had a student teacher that had very monotone voice, didn't have a whole lot of energy, and that reflected back into the students, that the students weren't as willing to participate in the activities that they might have been doing. So when you show energy and when you use, when you're just vibrant in your teaching, it reflects back into the students. Not every cue needs to be vocalized. This is very crucial, especially with the fact that she does chorus. She does 4 times chorus every week. So she does it once a day, but she has it 4 times a week. We use our voices a lot in elementary music. So she does like simple clapping methods such as ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. That helps bring the students back, not having to really use your voice as much. Students' response is different to tones and body language and the tone of voice written in a message. So as I said prior to this, your tone of voice in a written message can be conveyed differently. So it's just very important to make sure that if you're trying to become, maybe showing something in more of a positive manner, maybe use exclamation points to show it's a little bit brighter toned, stuff like that. Question 4. How do you handle disagreements or differences of opinions with colleagues? So she had said, understand all angles of disagreements, find a common ground / focal point, keep personal feelings and emotions in check. Sometimes when you're really passionate about something and you're working and collaborating with other people, and maybe things aren't exactly going your way, she was saying that, you don't want to make it about you, and make sure that you are communicating. You could talk about your feelings, but maybe not in a overzealous way. Follow up after the new solution to see how all parties feel, and be open to critiques and adapt. So that's the same thing of, with the personal feelings. Maybe something that you suggest that you think is going to work out perfectly might not. But it doesn't necessarily mean that might not be the end point. It could be a way that we can adapt as educators and collaborate with each other, of finding a different way that could still be similar to what you were saying. And my last question, question number 5, what role does communication play in creating a positive school environment? It builds trust and respect. So one thing that she does in the beginning of the school year is creates class contracts. This is a communication for the students to hold themselves accountable if anything happens, like if they're fooling around or if they're talking or not being respectful towards whoever in the classroom. This builds a level of trust and respect that they are holding themselves accountable to this. It's not just what Ms. Boucher had said, it's what they all agreed upon. Encourage collaboration. So that's within the community, that's families, parents, the staff. So your other colleagues, other elementary music teachers, also admin, and then the students, right? So one big thing that just happened in my school district was Hispanic Heritage Month, where that was a big collaboration amongst teachers, the art department, music department, and families got to come, and their students or children got to represent countries that they were from, or that they represent of. So that was it's really important to make sure that the collaboration and involvement of everybody is crucial in the positive school environment. Open communication prevents misunderstandings, which I touched upon already, and promotes student engagement / involvement. So like the class contracts, or she was saying that sometimes she likes to see what the kids are currently listening to outside of the music classroom, to see how can she incorporate that into the music curriculum that we are teaching. So, but overall, I felt that this interview with Miss Boucher was very enlightening, to understand that there's a lot that really goes into teaching and being an elementary music teacher. There's collaboration amongst every angle. You have your concerts, you're talking to admin, you're talking to families, you're talking to teachers, you're talking to the students. So it is just very important to be aware that I think the biggest thing that I got out of this was to be mindful of every way that you are communicating. Putting everything down in a written message can be beneficial because you leave a paper trail. However, sometimes tone of voice can get mixed up. But verbal communication, in a lot of cases, is very beneficial. It's hard with administration, because they're not always around to talk to and collaborate with. But yeah, this was a very inspiring and a great way for me to understand the angles that an elementary music teacher sees collaboration. So I thank you guys for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.